Okay, so this is something that I have thought about, and so I don't post many videos, and I'm sorry that my camera quality is such shit, but this is something that's insanely serious, and it needs to be out there, honestly, because there's not enough information. There's not enough true information about this for people to access and learn about and hear about, because, I mean, in raw honesty, it's embarrassing. For the longest time, I didn't talk about this because I was embarrassed of it, but it's so important for people to know. Like, my own laundry being aired is a lot less important than people having access to this information. So here I am sitting down and making this video. So I guess let's get into it. The reason that I have decided to make this is because I was on TikTok and my friend sent me a couple of videos about people tripping on Benadryl, and honestly, the videos were pretty funny. One of my favorite things is memes about taking Benadryl, just because it's so true, and, you know, it makes my own trauma lighter. You know, it's fun to joke about because it's such a fucked up trauma and it's such an awful thing to experience that sometimes you just have to joke about it. But the issue that I am having right now is every single time there is one of those memes or a video posted, a joke about Benadryl, there are always people in the comments saying that they want to try and trip on Benadryl. And it breaks my heart. Usually it's 14-year-olds, you know, usually it's people who are not taking acid or shrooms or real drugs. It's kids who have not started taking drugs yet, or people who want to die and are trying to overdose. And so let me just lay out the raw honesty, honestly. So my personal story and my personal experience is I started taking Benadryl when I was about 14 or 15. I don't really remember. That year is really just an entire blur, because it fucks with you. So the first time I ever took it was because I was told that you can trip on Benadryl. You can have a trip from it. So the first time I took it, I was just trying to trip, and I, after that, was told by many doctors that I could have died and that people have died on a lot smaller of doses than what I took. So during that time in my life, I was in a really messed up spot mentally, and I, after hearing that you could die from it, decided, oh, okay, well, I'll take more. And that was kind of my go-to whenever I was feeling suicidal, was I would take Benadryl because I wanted to die. And I had this idea in my head that, like, oh, okay, so I'm either going to trip balls or I'm going to die. And, you know, both of those I'm okay with, because I was in a really hard spot. So I started taking Benadryl, and I would take more and more as it went, the more I would take it, you know. And I blacked out. I was blacked out for the majority of my trips. So the only thing that I really know, you know, I remember bits and pieces of each little one, but all in all, the most of what I know is what I was told from other people, like my mom or a friend that was with me. And when I would take it, I was thrown into an actual psychosis. I wasn't tripping, you know, it's not like when you take acid or shrooms or anything where everything feels weird and you are seeing, like, you don't get visuals, you don't get, the wall isn't breathing. The more you take, you get thrown into psychosis. And what that means is, and it's different for everybody, but what that meant for me was I was not mentally there anymore. I was talking to people who were not there. I was sitting having full-on conversations with people, and I didn't know that they weren't actually there. It started out slow. It started out where I would be, you know, I was walking with my friend, and I, you know, would be walking, and I would be like, oh, like, I forgot our other friend wasn't here with us. Like, for a second, I thought our other friend wasn't here, or I thought our other friend was with us, and it was kind of funny, and we laughed about it a little bit. And then as the night went on, it progressed from thinking that my friend was supposed to be with us to, after that, I was like, wait, where did they go? And the person that I was actually with would look at me and she was like, they were never here with us. And I was like, what? Yes, they were. Like, I could have sworn. And then it got more aggressive, where it got to the point where I was not mentally there. I was sitting on the edge of my bed and she'd be trying to talk to me. And at some points I would come back to, and I would kind of come back to reality, and I would look at her and I would acknowledge her, and then I would just disappear again and talk to who I thought I was around. And that was the lesser ones. There had been times that I would take it, and when my mom would find out, she would come in and talk to me. And one specific part that I came back to in the middle of this, I was talking to her and she looked at me and said, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "What do you mean, what am I talking about? Like, I'm talking about what I'm talking about." And it wasn't until after that I asked her what the hell she meant by that. And apparently I was not saying words. I was speaking complete gibberish. There was just a string of noises coming out of my mouth, and I thought that I was saying actual sentences. And it lasted for a solid, like, 2 weeks after I had taken it, too. Like, I would be trying to talk to somebody, and I could not piece together the sentence that I wanted to say. Like, I would say my words all kinds of backwards. And I at that point, when I had sobered up, but I still was having anaphasia issues, I would know that I wasn't actually saying what I was supposed to be saying. So we would kind of pause and I'd be like, wait, no, that's not right. And I would try about 6 times before I finally got it. And that went on for a couple of weeks. And honestly, I didn't have dyslexia until I tripped on Benadryl. And now after that, I have it. And it causes lasting brain damage in so many ways, more ways than just that. With the psychosis, it will cause trauma, which can lead to depersonalization, derealization, which is what it has led to with me, is I have developed DPDR from the trauma from that, and so I have been dissociated for 3 years straight. It gets worse and better at certain times, but overall, I am always dissociating. There is never a point where I am not dissociating, and it's hell. I have completely ruined my brain. I have perma-fried myself from Benadryl because I was reckless and I was stupid. And there are so many people out there who just don't know, who are not told, because nobody wants to talk about this. Nobody wants to say, yeah, I'm fucked in the head now. Yeah, I am dissociated from Benadryl, of all things. I have depersonalization, derealization, because as much as we have kind of had an open conversation about mental health within the last few years, nobody wants to talk about psychosis. Nobody wants to talk about the scary stuff. We all talk about depression and anxiety. That one's socially accepted. But when it comes to the dissociation, the dissociatives, or psychosis, that one's not cute, No, ooh, sorry. But that one's not something that people want, that they can feel comfortable having, Nobody wants to talk about it, so we don't. And then what happens is no one talks about it, and people hear, like, oh, you can trip on Benadryl, and they go and take some Benadryl. Nobody tells them that you're going to have lasting brain damage. Nobody tells them that you're going to be dissociated and you're not going to know what's going on a lot, and you're going to have lasting brain damage. Like, you are going to be fucked up forever after that. And yeah, sometimes it gets better, but it really kind of doesn't. I have been dissociated for 3 years. I've gotten used to it. I've been able to cope with it and to deal with it. I know how to function with it now, but it took me 2 years to figure out how to function with it. It took me a really long time, and, like, it's just, this isn't something that people don't think of it as a drug. They don't think of it as, oh, this can affect me badly, because it's Benadryl. You can buy it at a store. They don't have it locked up. You don't need a prescription for it. You can just go and buy it. I mean, shit, you don't even have to, you can just take it off of the shelf. It's so accessible. And people take it all the time for being sick. So it's normal. We don't think that it can ruin us like this, but it really, really can, and it will. It's not even just that it can, it's that it will. Every person that I know who is aggressively overdosed on Benadryl in their life is the same that I am. You know, we're all ruined from it. Absolutely ruined from it. And it just breaks my heart that people, especially young, impressionable kids who, you know, they think, oh, this isn't a drug, you know, it's not like taking acid, so it should be fine. They think that, and it's so not true. And nobody wants to tell them otherwise because we're all embarrassed of it, or we're too fucked up to care, or whatever. And it just needs to be talked about. So this is my story, I guess. This is where I'm coming from. And, you know, another piece to it is I am allergic to diphenhydramine. Diphenhydramine is the active ingredient in Benadryl that causes, it is the dissociative in it that causes you to go into the psychosis or trip. And I'm allergic to it now. I will start hallucinating there have been times throughout the last 2 years, ever since, or not 2 years, 3 years, ever since I stopped taking it in excessive amounts, there have been times that I have been, like, I started taking a sleep medication so that I could get my sleep schedule back on track for school about maybe 2 years ago, and I didn't know it had diphenhydramine in it, and then my brain kind of I started dissociating a lot more aggressively, and I started hallucinating, and it wasn't until a week later that I realized it has diphenhydramine in it, so that's why I've been hallucinating. I can't take any sleeping meds anymore. I can't even take melatonin. Any downer causes me to hallucinate. It causes the dissociation to get more aggressive. I stopped smoking weed because I would hallucinate when I got high. I can't drink anymore because the dissociation gets really aggressive. I can't take any drugs at all because of the dissociation and how bad it gets. There were times where, you know, before I started taking Benadryl, I loved smoking weed. I loved getting high. It was really fun. But then afterwards, after I took the Benadryl, it got to the point where I hallucinated a school shooting. I have hallucinated the rapture happening, actually, which is, now it's a funny story, but at the time it was terrifying. I mean, absolutely terrifying is what it was. And I'm allergic to melatonin, of all things. I cannot take any sleeping meds without my brain just getting into turning jello, I guess, you know, like the dissociation will get really bad if I take melatonin, of all things. And, I mean, this is serious stuff. It's not something to mess with. It will ruin your psyche. It causes everything to slip. And it lasts, you know? It's not like a hangover. It's not like you're just going to feel bad tomorrow. No, you are going to be dissociated forever. And it's not worth gambling your life away. If you want to get high or do whatever, just go and find shrooms. Honestly, go find a natural, better, you know? I mean, even acid. I don't really condone young kids taking drugs, but it is so much more worth it to go out and buy an actual drug that people take and that people can take instead of overdosing on Benadryl and being ruined for life, because I promise you, you are going to have lasting brain damage from this if you take it. Your liver will shut down, your kidneys, whatever. Just be careful, please. So yeah, this was my story, and I am sorry that the video quality is so bad. I hope that at least one person can learn something from this, because it's serious stuff. It's really serious stuff. It's heavy. It's not something that you should mess with. And yeah, so here I am putting myself out there. please be safe. And if anybody has any questions or wants some support, you can leave a comment and I'll reach out. I'll try and help however I can. So, thank you for listening, I guess. Bye.